Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of A Nation United Russian Edition, right here on NHL 20. Today we sim our second season with this team again. The first season, well, you look at the expansion process, went okay, actually. No, I was going to say didn't go that well. It actually went pretty well in terms of some of the younger prospects that we were able to pick up. You know, the Guryanovs, Kamenevs, Trenin, and of course Vitaly Kravtsov. That was huge for us. We turned Artem Anisimov into a very good return, and we'll hopefully be able to do the same with Ilya Kovalchuk this season. And of course, we have some other pieces as well to debate over whether or not moving Renat Valiev makes sense. Time will tell on that front. Overall, our first calendar year or so with this team, it did go pretty well. Now, it is still going to take time, of course, to build this team up. The thought of, are there any players to go out there and trade for right now? In a way, I'm sure there are, but obviously whether or not we go out and get those players really does depend on what the draft looks like. You know, that first year draft, it really wouldn't have made sense to use some of our top draft picks to go out and get anybody with those picks because we already had players in the draft that we knew that we wanted to target. This year, though, there may be less options for us. Of course, there are going to be more computer-generated players like Ladislav Sorokin's and Desmond Wallace. Obviously, you still have some real-world players like Roddy and then guys that we would have added in like Brant Clark. But in terms of top Russians in this draft, we have this defenseman, Marcus Tulipov, where, we'll see how good he ultimately is. Daniil Sheka is available as well. And aside from that, that's it for the first round. Second round, we have Sergei Chistov, a 19-year-old. Is there anybody else through the second round that we have available? Not really. So, see, this year, okay, Volkov is there towards the end of the second round, and he could end up being pretty decent from the looks of it. So, see, this year, compared to last, we're not going to have as many options in the draft that we absolutely want to make sure that we can get. So in terms of getting to the draft, making sure we get the players that we want to get, and then using any excess picks to go out and pick up some of these already established players, sure, that's obviously the goal. Now, in terms of picking up top-notch players, like in terms of getting Kucherov, Ovechkin, like we just flat out don't have the assets that have the trade value to pull off those deals. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Unless we end up with, the first overall pick and we decide to trade down. It's pretty much the only way that's going to happen. Now, there are some players, you look at like an Evgeny Svechnikov, not an Andre, because of course his value is going to be through the roof, but you look at like an Evgeny Svechnikov. That could happen, but again, it is very much dependent on the players that are available to us in the draft. And we'll continue to add through the draft. We'll continue to add through free agency over these next few seasons because, right now we don't exactly have an excess of players to work with, do we? We really, really don't. It's just a matter of, the slow and steady building process to get this team to hopefully being the team that we want it to be, which is a dominant team both in the regular season and in the playoffs. So, the goal is obviously, hey, it'd be great to get Kucherov. It would be amazing to get Nikita Kucherov. And if you look back at the Finnish series, the same exact thing as this series, except, of course, based off of Finns, we were able to acquire some top Finnish talent to the point where there were too many Finns to choose from, and we had to get rid of some top talent. And, of course, whether or not we actually got rid of the right players in that instance, you could make that judgment call if you would watch that series. But, like I said, it is going to be a bit of a process. There will be some wheeling and dealing with trades. There's going to have to be to try and make this team as good as it possibly can be. But again, it's not a traditional draft of glory. Trades are a factor. Free agency is very much a factor as well. So don't worry. In terms of having the list of prospects, and already established players out there that are in the game to begin with, I have it all marked down. I just don't want to commit to giving away draft picks right now. Or, even getting rid of Kovalchuk to bring in a prospect, it makes more sense to bring in a draft pick just in case, I would say. I don't know. Maybe that's not the right way to go about it. And we'll see ultimately what a Kovalchuk is able to bring in for us. We're actually not in dead last in the division right now. Columbus, how bad are you? Why are you that bad? I mean, apparently we're worse, though, because you just kicked us around 4-0. But, yeah, a series like this, it's all about time, a little bit of patience, and eventually I would like to think that, 20 episodes from now, maybe we do have Andrei Svechnikov. Maybe we do have Ovechkin at the tail end of his career. There's a lot of potential for this, but in terms of being able to rush out and get in terms of being able to rush out and get all the top Russians, that's just not how it's gonna work. We would really put ourselves at a disadvantage right now to try and go out and get Kucherov for what? The rest of the team isn't there. I'm trying to think of a really good comparison here. It'd be like if we were a worse version of the current day Rangers, where it's like, yeah, we have Artemi Panarin, and that's it. That's it. It would be like adding... That's a good comparison, because even like Detroit's not a good comparison. Chris Tierney and Tyler Ennis for a first, and Connor Murphy, Jesus, Marian Hossa. What is a good comparison right now? I'm trying to think. It would be like adding Nikita Kucherov to the Leafs team before they got, Marner, Matthews, and Nylander. Like, one player is not going to help you there, right? The foundation is just not intact. Like, you can add a superstar to a bad team. That's not going to change anything. You need the rest of the team to be to be to a certain point for that superstar to be able to make a difference. So going out and getting a Kucherov right now, or even an Andrei Svechnikov I'd say would be better because he's younger, but going out and getting those players right now, it just doesn't make sense. Nor does that trade. Carl Soderberg in a third for Jack Kopaka in a second. That is a good deal for Washington. As Yannick Weber is on waivers, but we do not need him, of course, nor can we take him. So that is fine. So we're winning games. Mike Hoffman and 2/3 to the Rangers for Nils Lundqvist and a first. So Ottawa signed Mike Hoffman, and then flipped him within half a season. Teams love throwing away draft picks this year more than, I want to say any year I remember, but like trades in NHL 10, like when the phone system was brand new, NHL 10, NHL 11, the trades in that game were something else. Mikko Koivu and 2/3 for Gunler and a fourth is just stupid. A first-round pick for an aging Mikko Koivu. I don't know about that one, Chief. Detroit wins that. Jordan Easterley, a third and a fourth for Ian Mitchell and a guy named Kane. I mean, Chicago gets the better defenseman now, so I guess that makes some sense. Cody McLeod, I didn't even know you were hurt. As we are less than a week away from the deadline here. Josh Bailey for a first, Jake Sanderson, and Riley Sheahan. I mean, that one makes a little bit more sense. Second liner for a first-round pick, a prospect, and a role player. That one at least makes a bit more sense. So I can see that as far as why a first-round pick was moved. Although you'd think they would have gotten more based off of some of the other trades that we've seen. As TJ Oshie is dealt to Arizona for Braden Schneider, a fourth, and that Kane prospect is moved again. Okay. So, I mean, Oshie for a good defensive prospect makes sense. Can't hate on that too much. And that brings us to deadline day as Vitaly Kravtsov. Let's take a look at the overalls really quickly on this team because Kravtsov's killing it. He's still a 79, but he's benefiting very well. Oh yeah, very well. From playing next to Kovalchuk and Barbashev. So that's really nice. And then Guryanov, Kamenev, Ilya Makheyev's up to an 80. A lot of people were upset that he didn't have a good potential. But again, I don't overrate players off of less than half a season. Nor do I change potentials mid-season. Because again, if you were to jump at the chance to updating players, then guess what? More likely than not, you're going to have to edit them back down. Because that's typically how it works. You think of, and I hate to say it, but you think of like Corey Conacher when he was dealt for, it was Ben Bishop, wasn't it? Tampa and Ottawa made that trade. How'd that work out for Ottawa? Not well. But Corey Conacher was great until he wasn't. So, yeah, I don't overrate prospects. I agree. Ilya Mikheyev's been really good for the Leafs this year. But, yeah, no. In terms of like, oh, he was in the Calder race, medium top 6. No, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. So, in terms of potentially trading anybody, Kovalchuk is the one guy who makes a whole lot of sense. But let's take a look at some values. Again, I'm not going to deal any non-Russians. And in terms of these draft picks, that Dallas pick isn't looking amazing. That first rounder is. So again, yeah, there's a chance that dealing that pick right now makes all the sense in the world. You're not entirely wrong. Dealing that right now does make sense because we've already seen the top of the draft board and there isn't really anybody there that it makes sense to draft. So we can hedge our bets, move that pick now, instead of hoping to end up with the number 1 pick where it would have a little bit more value. We can move that pick now and then use whatever we get with Kovalchuk to make sure that we're right there to draft Marcus Tulipov, hopefully 15th overall. Again, he is a Russian that's playing in Latvia, just like Fedoruk, is a Canadian playing for Peterborough. That's how that works. So, and again, Daniil Chayka's there as well. So 2 first-round picks would be very nice this year because they're both defensemen, which is incredibly helpful. So quickly, now someone mentioned you can view nationality through the player block or through the trade block or even through this. I haven't seen that. So, yeah. But anyway, let's take a look at the most valuable players here. See, Andrei Svechnikov's value is sky high. That's not surprising. Like, it is going to be tough to ever pick him up. Incredibly tough. So that, anybody with that amount of trade value, that's just not going to cut it, especially if the teams don't want to trade them. But right about here, starting with like a David Perron, would be about the sweet spot to be able to pull off a trade for a Russian player. So let's take a look at who is out there that we could potentially get using this pick. Because again, it makes no sense to have that pick right now. And that's what? Wow, Robbie Fabry jumped up to an 86. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is not a name I expected to be way up there. Of course, you have Vitaly Kravtsov. His value is up there. And unfortunately, right now, Vladimir Tarasenko. Tarasenko at 29. Again, though, then you run into the issue of, is it really worth picking up a player of that caliber right now? I mean, it is. Getting Tarasenko and trading down in the process, it's not a bad way to go. I mean, he looks like the top option here. I mean, the bottom line is with Svechnikov or even Provorov, there's just no way. There's just no way. If they don't want to trade the player, we don't have the value to pull that off without giving up one of our younger guys anyway, and in which case we don't want to be giving up too much in a deal. Evgeny Dadonov is there as well. He stayed in Florida and got a pretty nice contract out of it. So, I mean, Tarasenko, based off of his age, is the best player that we could look to get. And we might be able to get a draft pick out of it as well if we play our cards right. So, honestly, I think that's the game plan, is to bring in Vladimir Tarasenko here. Dmitry Orlov is also available, but you see just how much lower that value is. Then you get Barbashev. Ovechkin's value is actually down, but it's because he's 35 years old. And then Radulov as well, but he's a little bit older. So we're looking at Tarasenko if we want to make the most of bringing in a player with that ridiculous value. And then again, we'll probably look to move on from Kovalchuk because he's 37 years old. So can we work out this deal for Vladimir Tarasenko? I mean, right there, obviously the value works. We'll be able to add picks back to it. But yeah, I mean, if you look at just the difference here, with Svechnikov, right? Yeah, just look at the difference in value and then factor in that they're not going to want to trade him. I can try, but it's not going to happen. I can promise you that. And yeah, we could give up Amarov, Kulemin, Mukhamadullin, but there's just not enough there. And then it comes to the point of like, okay, we'll give up Barbashev. Sure. I mean, sure. We could do that. He's also on an expiring deal. Does it make sense to give up Barbashev to get, to get Svechnikov? Sure. Even then, though, it's not going to be enough. If this goes through, I would be legitimately shocked. Yeah, then we're talking about having to add in other prospects. Like, I get it, Svechnikov's elite, but with the way superstars can tend to not exactly perform to the best of their abilities in this game, it's not worth the risk. So we're going to look to bring in Tarasenko. Not to mention, too, he's a bit of a cap dump, which is nice. The problem is, they don't want to get rid of picks. That is a problem. Oh, boy. Okay, this kind of sucks. I'm not going to be able to make up as much ground as I wanted because there's no way that's going to go through. That's right. They moved a lot of picks. I forgot about that. But what if we go with a third and just a crap ton of fourths? Is that worth it? Obviously, a second-round pick. Say hi to the old garbage truck outside. The old lorry. Is that worth it? Because I don't believe the Blues... Do the Blues have any other Russians? They got Hofer. They're trying to trade Binnington. Defensively, I don't believe they have any other decent Russians on the team. Stützle, Kyrou, Perron. They signed Taylor Hall. That's the one thing I did forget to do is double check where players signed. Alexandrov and Klim Kostin. Alexandrov, that's why you never know. Klim Kostin, though, is an option to help make up some value. They also have this guy named Nikitin, who's Belarusian. That sucks. Toropchenko? Toropchenko could work, too. He's not amazing, but I think I'd rather have him than a random third. So we'd have too many skaters. We'd have to tack somebody else on. But if we could pick up Klim Kostin in this deal, I wouldn't hate it. And then that way we go with a fourth this year and a third next year. And again, we'd have to tack on 2 skaters. I said I wouldn't trade non-Russians, but it's not as if we're bringing in people, that have value. So if I give up Max LaPierre and Curtis Gabriel, if this goes through, I'm cool with it. We bring in Tarasenko, Klim Kostin, Toropchenko, a couple of picks. We make the most of that pick's value as it stands. I'm good with this if they are. And it was rejected. What if I take out the fourth? The problem is Tarasenko's value might be much higher than I care for it to be. But even then, it's still worth it to me. And again, the issue is they don't want to trade anybody. What if we just go with a fourth? Still didn't go through. Straight up? Alright. What if we take out Toropchenko and we add in that third rounder next year? No. Alright, what if we take that out? We add in the fourth. No. What about straight up? No. What if I take out Gabriel? No. Okay, this is a problem now. Because my best option aside from this is Dmitry Orlov or Evgeny Dadonov. As much as that pick has value, that first rounder, good shot at it. I mean, it's going to be a top 4. They don't want to trade Tarasenko. So see, if I'm having this much trouble getting Tarasenko, imagine how difficult it would be to go out and try to get Andrei Svechnikov. That's just not going to happen. Not a chance. So looking here, I don't want to get rid of Kirill Marchenko. I mean, if I can't get Klim Kostin in the deal, then so be it. Yeah, I think I have to look at this trade without Klim Kostin being a factor because they also don't want to trade him. So what if we just do that first for Tarasenko and a third? Just a bit low. Okay, I'd still prefer to get the third, so let's see just how low it is. We'll tack on any unsigned players who aren't actually that good, like Gogolev and Alexiev. And if that pushes it over the edge, we're good to go. Not quite. All right, we'll have to look at low-end picks, but we're going to bring in Vladimir Tarasenko, and then we'll use Kovalchuk to get a first-rounder back, and that should help us because we still have Dallas's first, and then whatever we get with Kovalchuk, we should be able to trade up again pretty much no problem to get both of those defensemen in the first round. That's the game plan. So is that enough? Yes, it is. So we are moving our first-round pick that has no value to us aside from trading down anyway to bring in Vladimir Tarasenko and a third-round pick from the St. Louis Blues. The deal is done. Tarasenko, welcome to hell. But my game plan to bring him in is to have him work alongside Vitaly Kravtsov and turn Kravtsov into the next Tarasenko, or at least Tarasenko at the peak of his abilities. So we're not done yet, though. Kovalchuk has to go. As you see, Kravtsov's value is in line with Tarasenko's right now. I think we have to keep Barbashev. We have to. I mean, yeah, we could get value for him, but, I mean, no, we got to keep him. Guryanov's going to stay. Trenin's going to stay. Marchenko, Mikheyev. Yeah, we're good. It's just move out Kovalchuk because he's 37 years old. Everybody else is staying. So what can we get for Ilya Kovalchuk? With Anaheim, it's not quite going to work. Most teams want him, though. And by most, I mean from the two that we checked. I need a team that has their first-round pick, that is willing to trade it, that it's also not worth a ridiculous amount. And I thought Chicago was going to be it for a second. Colorado would be that type of team. Cale Makar's value is through the roof. Colorado would be perfect. They don't want Kovalchuk, though. I need that extra added value to get the most out of a deal. Columbus, no. Dallas, no. Obviously, we have their first already. Edmonton, nope. Florida is a no. Los Angeles is a no. Minnesota's a no. A lot of teams not wanting to move their picks, which means a lot of teams are still very much, you know, in terms of their playoff chance, they're still very much up in the air. Ottawa, of course, is stocked up on picks. Philadelphia? All right, Philly would work. Barely. But Philly would work. They'd have too many players, so we'd have to take somebody back. And then we can retain salary on the deal, obviously, to boost it up. Let's take Nate Prosser, which is fine. Say goodbye to the truck. There it goes. Ilya Kovalchuk, we will retain salary to get that deal to go through. It looks like that first is going to be of too much value. It is. But I mean, again, I still need to get this to go through because that's about the lowest value first round pick you're going to find. So what if we add in a fourth? Kovalchuk in a fourth? Okay, so come on. You would have seen other teams accept that. What about the fifth? Sweeten it just a touch. That I can do. What about the sixth? So Kovalchuk, a fourth, fifth, and a sixth for Philadelphia's first. They'd have to put fucking Bogosian on waivers. Are you kidding me? Okay, yeah, no. Oh, God, we can't lose Zach Bogosian. So I need a team that has cap space, then. That's what I need. I need a team that's interested in him, that has cap space, like the San Jose Sharks. Their pick's worth a little bit too much, though. So a team that's interested, that has cap space. Vancouver. That pick is still worth a bit too much. Vegas? Oh, God, they have a ton of seconds, though. You know what? I'm not against that. I am not against that. I'm good with taking a couple of second-rounders. You know, we know St. Louis is good. Let's go for that New Jersey instead. 2 seconds and a fourth? No. What about just 2 seconds? Still no. Okay, well, we will take the New Jersey second and the Arizona third. Fair offer, but we'd have to put Greg Pateryn. I hate this game so much. I hate this game so much. We'd have to put a depth defenseman on waivers. God damn it. All right, what if I take a fourth instead? I lose out on a bit of value. Still rejected because of Greg frickin' Pateryn. All right, well, screw it. Let's go to Trade Finder. And we'll do it that way, because that way it should be a team that's not afraid to lose somebody on waivers, right? That's how it should work. So, Kovalchuk, let's do it this way. And no trades found. Great. That's fantastic. That's just tremendous. Are you kidding me? Am I going to have this much trouble trading Ilya Kovalchuk? I need to get rid of him. I absolutely need to get rid of him. I'll add the salary retention later. Who can afford him right now? Calgary can, Carolina can, Chicago can, but they don't want him. Dallas would work barely. I know they don't have their first, but they do have their second. So what if we just tack on some picks from the Stars, retain a bit of salary, and this, I mean, getting the first rounder might not work, but getting another, flood of draft picks in might be the best way to go. That was rejected. What about a second and a third? Fair offer, but we'd have to put Jason Dickinson on waivers. I'm not going to be able to trade him. I am not going to be able to trade this guy, am I? What about a second rounder from Florida? Second and a fourth from Florida. Rejected. What about a second and a sixth? Okay, what about just a second? Hey, we made it work. We got a second round pick, what looks to be a high second round pick for Ilya Kovalchuk. And that is about, I think, the best we can do. We bring in Tarasenko. Again, there are 2 first rounders that I want, and if you look at that right there, that's going to give us the ability to trade up if we need to. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Now, unfortunately, Anton Adobin, he doesn't really have any value. Gavrikov doesn't really have any value. I think we're pretty much out in terms of the trades we could make or want to make. So that sucks. But I think we're going to be okay. I think we're good with that. So we bring in Tarasenko. We bring in Tarasenko, we get rid of Ilya Kovalchuk. And that sets us up to have another decent draft. I mean, that top line's now Kravtsov, Barbashev, Tarasenko. So I'm pretty damn happy about that. The defense is still pretty goddamn rough. But overall, I like what I see there. So let's go ahead. And yeah, let's hit the draft in this episode. We won't be able to hit free agency in this episode, but let's at least hit the draft. No reason as to why we can't, because we do pretty much have a set plan to it. I'm just sitting here wondering if I were to target any particular Russian players, if there's anybody that, like say we end up with a spare third round pick, would it make sense to go after an already established Russian player that we don't have, or would it just make sense to trade down, for like next year's draft? That might be the best way to do it. So we'll figure that out in due time. Might just be worth trading down again. I think that might be the safe move. Trade down as much as we can, just to make sure that we're always good to go in next year's draft in terms of the amount of picks and assets that we have, just in case. Because, yeah, there are those already established players, but the draft is going to be the main way that we pull off having any form of success in this series. That's just the way it's going to be. So, ultimately, we are going to finish with maybe 25 wins? I mean, we have 2 chances to get there. Can we beat Carolina? No, we cannot. Can we beat the Anaheim Ducks? Yes, we can. So there we go. 25 wins on the season. I guess there's some reason to have some pride in that. Vitaly Kravtsov has emerged. 43 goals, 70 points. He should have a massive jump in overall heading into next season. He's a 78 due to morale right now, but after a season like that, he should jump big time. As the Penguins won the Metro in dominant fashion, we finished with 61 points, which is pretty damn respectable, all things considered. Pittsburgh, the Rangers, Flyers, Devils, and Caps all made the playoffs. In the Atlantic, you had Boston, Toronto, and Carolina. Ottawa was terrible. In the Central, Chicago, Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado, and St. Louis. And in the Pacific, San Jose, Vegas, and Vancouver. So throughout the league, Pittsburgh was number 1 we weren't even the worst team in the league. That was Ottawa. That's fairly impressive that the Sens were somehow worse than we were. That's bizarre. As we'll take a look at our team before taking a look around the league. Vitaly Kravtsov was great. Barbashev was great. Tarasenko finished with 59 points. Guryanov, Kamenev, Mikheyev, Trenin, Goldobin, all fairly respectable numbers. Again, given the circumstances of what this team is and how we're set up right now. Gavrikov with 24 points. He was a minus 42, though. And goaltending-wise, it wasn't good. It was not good, which is not shocking. This Ottawa team, just to take a look here, I mean, they have decent names still. I don't see why they would have been that bad. Brandstrom's an 82. Batherson typically does great in Season 1. They played Nils Lundqvist once they acquired him. Anders Nilsson and Jake Allen, that might have something to do with it. So I don't know why Ottawa was that bad, but they were pretty bad. We'll look at goalies first because we're already here. 53 wins from Matt Murray. The shutout king was Matt Murray. The save percentage leader, Caden Primo, was great, but Robin Lehner amongst starters with a 923. A 921 for Brian Elliott, New Jersey. Then you had Ben Bishop up there as well. And for the hell of it, we'll look for goals because, yeah, Pekka Rinne scored last night. Pretty ridiculous. Not enough to make an entire video off of it, but Pekka Rinne scored a goalie goal. We haven't had that happen in a while, it feels like. So there you go. For defensemen, John Carlson probably just won another Norris. Erik Karlsson was up there, and Justin Schultz also broke 70 points. The goal-scoring king was Adam Fox with 25. He and Krug, the only players to break the 20-goal mark. And for forwards, 110 points for Malkin, 106 for McDavid. They were the only two to break the 100-point mark, which is crazy. And in terms of goal scoring, Malkin and McDavid, the only guys to break 50 goals. You had Kravtsov tied with Crosby in third with 43. So a great season for Vitaly Kravtsov. And looking at the rookie race, Sam Steele likely beat out Donald Orpik and Cody Glass to win at Lafreniere in Washington with 49 points. So that brings Season 2 to a close. But again, we are not done with this episode. I want to get to the draft. So the NHL season is complete. Playoff-wise, it is San Jose, Colorado, Chicago, St. Louis, Vegas, Vancouver, Dallas, and Winnipeg in the East, Boston, New Jersey, Toronto, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Washington, of course, New York, and Philadelphia. So let's see how that plays out for everyone else who gets to have fun being in the postseason. And we will take it from there with this draft. I am excited because, again, the chance to add two pretty damn solid defensemen that we could build around. Again, top-notch Russian defenseman, hard to come by. The Vegas Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup in Season 2. We'll see how they manage to pull that off, as they were able to sweep the Boston Bruins in the final. Oh, boy. Just kick a man when he's down. Kick a man. Kick him. Kick him when he's down. Let's take a look at that Vegas team really quickly, though, shall we? Shall we? Oh, Pasternak, Bergeron, and Marchand did so well, and it was not enough. But Pacioretty, Stone, Marchessault, Cody Glass is an 84 at this point. Alex Tucken, 85, 81 for Peyton Krebs. Defensively, no major changes. Hjalmarsson, Scandella were there, though. Kolikov and Marc-Andre Fleury just got the job done with Jimmy Howard as the backup. Kravtsov showing up as an 81 right now, by the way, which is great. As Evgeny Malkin wins the Art Ross and the Hart. I mean, yeah, Pittsburgh won the Presidents. That makes sense. But Malkin wins the Art Ross and the Hart. Norris goes to John Carlson. Austin Matthews, Lady Bing. Sam Steele wins the Calder. Fleury the Conn Smythe. The Vezina to Matt Murray. Henrik Lundqvist wins the Jennings. Dylan DeMello to Masterton. Jack Adams to New Jersey. Selke Award to Sasha Barkov. Ted Lindsay to Malkin. And the Rocket Richard to Evgeny Malkin. Down in the AHL, Tanner Leshinsky. Tanner, very Polish. Put up the most points. He was league MVP. Dylan Holloway scored the most goals. Logan Hutsko was top rookie. Top defenseman Chris Bigras, top goaltender, a player we could look at getting at one time. Pyotr Kochetkov, MVP of the playoffs. Martin Firk. And that officially brings Season 2 to a close. So let's find out. I mean, lottery-wise, we're not in play here. Dallas made the playoffs after all. We'll see if we just did St. Louis a major favor. They ended up at the 4th pick. Even Ottawa missed out as Arizona moved up. So you're welcome, St. Louis. Thank you very much for Vladimir Tarasenko. And that brings us to looking at who is available. How I wish Dmitry Alexeyev was, but he is not. However, Marcus Tulipov's a medium elite. Let's go. He doesn't have the highest overall to start, but we have a medium elite defenseman. That is huge. And again, with Danil Chayka there, who I think might still be a medium top 4, that is absolutely tremendous news for us. Chistov, still there as well, of course. Is there anybody else in this draft? You know what? I mean, based off of who we should have info on, let's just sort here. So Mironov is also available. Nikulin available to us as well. Saprikin. Volkov at a medium 9. Another Saprikin. Burmistrov. And then we have the likes of Alexeyev and Alexandrov. Kovalev. Sharov. Artukin. I mean, there's a whole bunch of not much here all of a sudden. But that's okay. I at least want to take a look at everybody and see who's worth looking at. Do we not have any goaltenders? I guess we don't, because then we get into the unknowns. Okay, so for all the pin players, let's take a look here. Let's take a look. So, Chistov. I mean, we have the ETA. He has a Brindamore comparison at 20 years old. I don't really think we have to interview him. Nikulin, we don't have a guaranteed on the ETA. We don't really have the weaknesses either. I don't really think there's a reason to interview him. Let's take a look at Malakoff. No real reason to interview you either. Andrei Mironov as a goaltender. He didn't play at all, but we know he's 5 years out. Saprikin, no real reason to interview. Chayka, though, we do. Chayka, we do need to interview. Because, again, he's playing in a region where we're unsure, or where we don't have any scouts currently. So, I think he's the only guy that we really have to talk to. And everyone else, we might just kind of leave it up to chance, because I don't think too many of them are going to be that great. Retired player-wise, Duncan Keith. Wow. Duncan Keith, Brian Boyle, Brad Richardson, Nate Thompson, and others, including the previously mentioned Corey Conacher. And defensively, Duncan Keith called it a day. Dan Hamhuis, who absolutely destroyed Kirby Dach on a beautiful hip check yesterday. In terms of talking real hockey, there wasn't too much to make a video about, because obviously I can't be like, hey, look at this sick hip check without getting copyright striked. So, you know, that's how that works. As we're going to have some staff members. Duncan Keith is now a coach. Brian Boyle is now a scout. Makes sense. So, interviews. I have one person that I want to talk to, and that is Danil Chayka. Where are you, buddy? Let's talk to you really quickly, and we will get to the draft. So, skills. Let's go strengths, weaknesses, and ETA. And that should do it. Personality-wise, I can't really be concerned about a player's personality. Can't really do it. Don't really have time. It's going to need a few seasons. It's not really all that surprising. So let's see what we can do and if we can make the best of this. Oh boy, that's not great. It's all right, though. He's still going to be a target for us. So to the draft we go. Let's see what we can do. So again, the first player that we're looking at is projected to go 15th. I believe, yeah, Tulipov was projected to go 15th. Now, here's the thing. I might not want to take the chance. Yeah, as it is, it's Florida. We just have to hope that the Panthers don't take him. But we're going to try to make a deal for that pick from the Panthers as soon as we can. And we'll use the 25th from Dallas. And we'll see how close a 5th can get us. Not close enough. What about a 4th from ourselves? Not close enough. What about another fourth? We don't want to give up too much here. Ugh. Florida, you're making this difficult. 2 fourths and a fifth. Is that enough? Quite far off. Man, this might be tough. This might be a bit more tough because this is going to take the third. We should still be able to do this, but these middle picks, it's going to be a little bit scary, I think. What about just that first and third? Oh, Florida. I mean, we got to give up whatever we got to give up here because this player we cannot miss out on. He's too good. He's way too good. Is that enough? Quite far off. Okay, we're going to have to give up a second. We're going to have to give up a second here, too. That's tough. That's very tough. First and a second for a first and a fourth. Man, this is a problem. What about a sixth, just to get something back? Straight up? Ah, Florida, you're killing me. Oh, you're killing me, Florida. What about a fifth? What about a fifth? A bit far off. It's going to take a fourth, maybe a seventh as well. Will that go through? Jesus. Oh, Florida, you're killing me. Fourth and a sixth? Thank God. All right, that was way more expensive than I wanted it to be. But let's sim to the pick. I thought Alexiev was the guy I wanted to. He's the Belarusian. Thank God. Let's see. There we go. Tulipov's still there. Whew. So we have a medium elite Russian defenseman by season 2. It's Marcus Tulipov. He's going to take a few years, but we have a defenseman to build around. That's huge. 63 overall, medium elite offensive defenseman, but hey, it's better than what we had. As Roddy and Brant Clark go 1 and 2, Sorokin's was there, Wallace, Brennan Othman. I think that's Matthew Benyus. It's Matthew, isn't it? Indeed it is. Dylan Genther, Jeremy Roy, Jeremy Waugh, call him what you will. Jeremy Wilmer, also off the board. So we get our man. We get a top defenseman to build around. Now the question is whether or not we think Danil Chayka is worth it. Because I very well might have to pick between Danil Chayka and Chistov. And I don't remember how good I made Danil Chayka. So this could be a problem. This could be a very big problem. I think I have to go for Danil Chayka. Projected to go 28th. I might be able to pull off 2 different moves. I'm going to trade probably with San Jose. I'm afraid that Ottawa might take him. I'm really afraid that Ottawa might take him, but we're going to play it somewhat conservatively here because of how those picks played out. So we'll use the 34th, and I cannot use that 3rd rounder because we're probably going to have to use 2/3 to move up again. Will that go through? No, it won't. Quite far off. Ugh. We need to hope that Danil Chayka is worth it. We really have to hope that Danil Chayka is worth it because this is really limiting our abilities to pull something off here. And this is where getting Tarasenko backfires because I could have gone with nothing but draft picks. Instead, we get Tarasenko, and it may have backfired for this reason. That went through, so we will be able to get Chayka. We'll see how the rest of the first round played out, though. Eklund, Simon Robertson, I believe that is, Trevor Wong, Cole Sillinger, Alexei Makluka. Yeah, I'm afraid. I'm afraid right now. I don't remember if I set him to a medium 6 or not. I feel like I did. I feel like I might have set him to a medium 6, which means he's still worth it to us. But it would be better to go for the likes of Chistov. It'd be much better to go for the likes of Chistov. Damn. Damn. There's no reason to believe that Denisov's any better than he is. Kovalev, I mean, we can just pick him up on the free agent list later. I mean, Glebov and Burmistrov, not much to go off of. Again, the bottom 6s I'm not that worried about. Good shooting and puck skills for Radulov. Could make him interesting. Artukin as well. could make him relatively interesting. Let's see, Novikov. That E in skating really kills him. Alexiev, we know for sure how good you are. Afanasenkov, we know how good you are. Yes, I know I'm still on the board and clock's ticking. I am aware. Is Daniil Chayka worth it? Is Daniil Chayka worth it? I don't think I can take the risk here. We gotta play it safe. So we're gonna trade down. If he is good, it's a big time mistake. But I'm genuinely concerned because I'm seeing these other guys here. I can't help but think he's a medium 6. With a good overall. So we are going to call a timeout. This would obviously be pick 32. So 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Where the hell was that guy projected to go? It was 41, wasn't it? A little bit caught off guard here because I didn't expect it to be even a discussion. Yeah, 41. So 32, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to trade with Buffalo just to make sure that the AI doesn't take anybody early. Don't say, yeah, it never takes anyone early. Watch the finish series. Watch the finish series. So I just can't risk it. I cannot risk it with Chayka. So let's trade down a little bit and see what we're dealing with here. As, goddamn, what can we even do here? Alright, the joys of having to answer your door because you're actually recording in the daytime as opposed to at night, like some kind of weirdo. Let's see what we can do here in terms of trading down to get that pick from Buffalo. A second and a third would be pretty damn good to me if they're willing to do that, and they are. So, quick and easy. We'll see how good Daniil Chayka ended up being. Hopefully the answer is not that good. Yeah, see, Luke Mittelstadt was down too. I'm pretty sure I dropped him. Pretty sure I dropped a lot of people from this upcoming draft. Yeah, we made the right choice. We made the right choice. Glad the instinct kicked in. Because that would have been a disaster otherwise. So we are definitely going for Sergei Chistov. I mean, he's an overager. But, I mean, based off of the grades that we're seeing there, 3 years out, he's going to be pretty damn good. And he is. Medium elite, 66 overall. We didn't walk away with, from this draft with 2 solid defensemen to build around, but we added a very gritty forward next to who could be our franchise defenseman. So I am not complaining in the slightest. And as far as who we look to target next, it's Saprykin, Radulov, or Volkov if we think either are worth it. And Saprykin very well could be. He's 3 years out, though. Honestly, I think all 3 of the guys that are projected to go in the 70s are probably good players to target. So we're going to sim to our next pick, which is 66th overall, beginning of the 3rd round. And, I mean, we just got to decide if any of the 3 are worth it. As long as we can make sure that we get Mironov. But then again, Nikulin's there too, and Saprykin. Well, I mean, Saprykin obviously is at this phase. So, I mean, Volkov is 17 and 4 years out. Then there's Radulov, who's 19 and apparently 3 years out. Saprykin is 20 and 3 years out. That is a very tough call. Because we know what Volkov's potential is. And then again, our Tukin might be worth it. It's kind of tough. All of these players are worth it. I just don't think we have the assets to pull this off in terms of picking up all of them. I mean, again, some of these other trades have been a little bit more... Yeah, we have a 3rd and a 5th. But then we do have 3 third-round picks next year. So, let me trade down with Vegas just to see if I can pick up even an extra draft pick that can help me out here. So we'll do that. And let's go ahead and add, say, that 5th rounder. Is that too much to ask for? No, it is not. Perfect. So we pick up an extra 5th. It's going to take some wheeling and dealing here, but we might be able to pull this off. To be honest, let's trade down again with the Rangers. Same thing. See if we can add another 5th round pick into the mix. Just to get, a total number, a greater number of picks to make this work out for us. The Rangers accepted that as well. That's perfect. And we'll take the higher rated Radulov's off the board. He was only a medium 6. That's okay, because I think Volkov is who I wanted. Yeah, Volkov is who I wanted, and then we could look at Saprikin. You know what? I think Saprikin's probably the better guy to go for, because we know how good Volkov is. And medium 9 can be fine, but I'm not really feeling it. So let's trade down again. This is 71, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go with Florida's pick here. And we'll take the Overager and see how it looks from there. As I hit the wrong button, like a total amateur. Go ahead and do that. And again, with these 5th round picks, now we'll be able to, make some deals if we have to. So thank you very much, Florida. That medium 9 guy I might regret not taking, but it is what it is. So we are going to go with Pavel Saprikin. How good are you? Not bad. 64, medium 9. How does he compare to the dude that we could have taken? He's better. I mean, Volkov is significantly younger, though. So, it would have been better to go with Volkov, but that's okay. That's okay. It's not worth stressing over. Neither player would ultimately have been that great. So we need a pick at the beginning of the 100s because there is apparently a gem of a goaltender. So let's get to the end of this round and let's talk with Ottawa. It's a little bit early, but if I can get this pick from Ottawa, we might have another goalie. And of course, goalies and their value, even though the value has been, dropped this year. You can't underestimate the value of goaltenders in this game. Unfortunately, Ottawa is not really wanting to budge here, but we can make them budge with 4 5th round picks. So this will be likely our final pick of the draft, unless we give up a 3rd rounder next year. And to be honest, I might, because Nikulin, I don't really know if I trust that, and Artukin as well. I'm intrigued by those two, but I think I'm going to play it safe. Maybe not. Mironov is the pick right now, though, no matter what. And we have a medium elite goalie as well. Beautiful. Beautiful. So another goaltender, another winger, and another defenseman. Or really, I can't even say another defenseman, but a solid defenseman that we can now look to build around. I mean, we'll go to the next round. That's up to 129. 5th round picks here. Do I want to make a play for Nikulin and Artukin? I kind of do. We should be able to sim through this round as well and make a deal. Is there a team that has multiple picks in the first half of this? Not really. So Florida, or not Florida, Ottawa and Florida might be the deal. We'll start off with Ottawa. Was there someone who was a bit of a swing and a miss? Not really. Like, we have some decent talent that's unsigned right now. So we look at next year's picks. What about a 5th next year for that 6th? And your next 2 7ths? How does that look? No. What about just that 6th and a 7th? Just that 6th. That's, that's a bit of a risk, but it's one that I'm willing to make. And then pin players wise, oh God, so Artukin, the grades are decent. And then Nikulin, it's just all about what the potential might be. Let's check with Nikulin. Why not? Didn't really work out. Okay, I'm not going to bother with the other guy then. So that'll do it for this draft. Tulipov, Chistov, the goaltender. And then, of course, you look at the moves that we made to bring in the likes of Vladimir Tarasenko. And this team is continuing to look that much better. Again, building that foundation around some of the younger guys that we already have. Goaltending-wise, obviously, it's going to be an issue for a bit, although not for that long. Askarov and Mironov, we're good to go. I mean, it's just whether or not we're able to sign anybody as a free agent. Defensively, it's rough. Gavrikov will be a staple here for a while. But then you look at Vorobyov, and then mainly Mukhamadullin and Tulipov. who are two guys that we really need to develop for us. Like, really need them to develop. And then forward-wise, again, Tarasenko's here, Barbashev, Guryanov, Kamenev, Makhayev's up to an 82. For, so anyone who's thinking, oh, high HL top 6 can't develop in this game, yes, it can. His potential jumped to a high top 9. So I don't want to hear your complaints on that. Old Toog knows what he's doing. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Old Toog knows what he's doing when it comes to roster editing. Yakov, Trenin looking good. Kravtsov, of course, looking good. Goldobin, Vorobiev looking okay. And then obviously in the system, it's more about Kirill Marchenko, Amarov, and a couple of others now that we've added to this team. So the big question is, heading into the next episode, free agency-wise, what the hell is out there for us, if anything? That is the question. And let's start by looking at goaltenders here. And unfortunately, the answer is nothing in terms of high-end options. So that really sucks. Defensively, the answer is nothing. So that really sucks. And then forward-wise, the answer is Verana's not even available. Jesus. He'd probably be an RFA too. Although this, yeah, he'd probably be an RFA. All right, so we're not getting much help in this upcoming offseason, unless we pick up Ilya Kovalchuk again, which is absolutely the plan, and then flip him again, which is absolutely the plan. So, Nikita Gusev, though. Nikita Gusev could be huge. Gusev could be a phenomenal pickup for us. Obviously, we'll have to sign Barbashev. No guarantees that anybody we've mentioned hits the free agent list. Radek Fax is not available. Obviously, we have some contracts to work out. Artem Nizimov, we could pick him up again. But in terms of major help, not exactly on the way. So that'll do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, you know the deal. Drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already done so. I will encourage you again, as always, to check out everything in the description, including the old Patreon, if you haven't already, as things continue to, pick up some momentum on that side of things. Shout out to the current patrons, of course. I love you. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Take it easy. And goodbye.